You can do this practice as a sitting practice or lying down, as always, however you're going to be most comfortable. We'll do a relaxation and some breathing, as always, and an inquiry practice. We'll look to see first what our environment is as we settle in. Notice your body, how your body's situated, the environment all around your body. In the Himalayan tradition, we talk about become aware of the space your body is occupying. That's kind of a nuanced experience, actually. We can notice what our physical body is doing. We can notice that we're sitting with our legs at a 90-degree angle, our feet on the floor, we relax back in a chair or something. So we notice that kind of information when we become aware of that. We can also notice the space all around the body, the environment, if it's noisy or hot or cold or those kinds of things. And then we can notice as well that the space our body is occupying is full of information. This is where we experience our lives through our bodies, is in this space. And that could be, we notice that thought comes in the space behind the forehead. We can notice the environment or the atmosphere in the thoughts in that space behind the forehead. Sometimes there will be relative calm or relative agitation or busyness. It's something that we can observe happens in that space. Thoughts don't show up across the room or in our elbows or something like that. We have very specific spots or places in this space where certain things show up. And of course, there's a strong correlation between a nerve pain in the elbow and that location that we know where our elbow is. That's one of the ways that the body works, that we have a sense of where our bodies are, how they're located, what our position is in space. A lot of that happens through sense perception. And then there's the literal space that our body is in. So whatever space your body is occupying right now, if you were to take a few steps in one direction or another, that space would now be empty and your body would be in a different space. And the space itself isn't affected by the body. There's not a long-term effect on that space. So we might be feeling hot, for instance, in our body. And when we move a few steps to one side, we're also still feeling hot in the new space. It's not the old space anymore. There might be a few seconds of lingering heat in that space, and then it dissipates. So we can notice that our experience in our bodies travels with our body. It's not connected in a direct way to the space that we're actually occupying at this time, other than the impact of the space around us. So there's temperature and sounds and things like that. There's the space of awareness and of witnessing. So we're getting a lot more subtle here. The space of observing or witnessing still happens in this internal environment. But it's not as directly focused or coming out of a certain area, like it's not necessarily just behind the forehead. There seems to be a bit of a bigger space in which that witnessing is happening, not as tied to the physical body. So as we begin the practice with that simple instruction, become aware of your body and the space your body is occupying. That happens on many levels that we don't necessarily pay attention to on an individual basis when we hear that. Let's go in and notice what's happening on a physical level. When we bring our attention into the body, we'll often notice there's sensation, some welcome, some not. We know what the location is. That's part of how our mind-body connection works. We always know where it's located. If we bring our attention to the forehead and the eyebrows, we might notice there's some tension that could be released through the forehead and eyebrows. When we notice the jaw and our teeth, sometimes we'll notice that our teeth are clenched. Other times we'll notice that there's a bit of space and the jaw is a bit more relaxed. And generally we have some kind of a reaction. If our teeth are clenched and we notice that, we might just go, oh, and relax the jaw and the teeth, give them a bit of space between the upper and lower jaw. We might also go into a train of thought about it. We might be thinking about why that is, or we might be giving ourselves a hard time for being tense through there. There's all kinds of responses that could happen. And other times it's just not such a response. There's just kind of a noticing and a relaxing and softening. When we bring our attention to the neck and the shoulders, we're going to notice whatever our sense perceptions tell us. If there's tightness, we'll notice that and we could soften a bit. If there's some kind of energetic component, a sensation that's not just muscles, we can notice that as well. Sometimes there will be images of that, sometimes it's more the felt sensation. And sometimes there will be thoughts associated with that area too. There's this constant interplay and communication with the body, the mind, the senses. The thoughts, our nervous system. These are all one system. We bring our attention back into the face, the mouth and the jaw. We notice the throat. There's the physical qualities of the throat. If we swallow, we can feel the muscles. When we breathe in, we might be able to feel the air moving in the back of the throat. If we were to hum, we'd feel that vibration. And we may or may not have thoughts coming up to comment on what we notice. And then we bring our attention down a little bit into the chest area. In the chest, we really start to become aware of the mechanism of the breath. The chest and the stomach are the areas of the body that move the most with our breathing. Exhaling and inhaling, notice how the body moves and shifts. When we're relaxed and breathing diaphragmatically, there's an expansion as we breathe in. If we breathe in deeply, the lower ribs will expand on the sides. The stomach comes out a bit or up. When we breathe out, we can relax and let all the muscles settle. The whole body, the parasympathetic nervous system, is activated on the exhalation. That's not something we have to plan or consciously do. That automatically happens as we're breathing. Exhaling and inhaling, notice that process that's happening, and notice it's all happening in this space, the space that the body is occupying. And that it happens whether our mind is paying attention to it or not paying attention to it. And that we might have a reaction or a response in thought, or in an image maybe, or in a tightness or relaxing of some other part of the body. Scott Killaby talks about this as the Velcro effect, where we have these associations that are always going on. And a mindfulness practice is noticing this interplay, this communication. Noticing your forehead and eyes, the jaw, the neck, and the throat. The back of your torso. Let all those large muscles be noticed. The sides of your body, including your arms, your rib cage. The front of your torso, the throat, chest, and stomach. Your lower limbs, legs, feet, toes. Noticing how the body, the breath, the mind, the thoughts, it's all one system. Part of that system is autonomic, so we don't have to pay attention to it. But whether paying attention or not to it, it's still happening and the effects of it are still happening. One of the beautiful things about working with breath is that we might not even notice when we're starting to get charged up or scared that our breath is starting to get faster. We might be holding the breath. We might not even notice that on a conscious level, but all of the impact of that is still happening in our system. Our body's starting to prepare for fight, flight. And as soon as we notice it, we can just tune right in, notice that the breathing has started to be affected by something. We can watch the thoughts in the mind and notice what it is that's creating this response in our body. And we can also take immediate action by slowing and calming our breath. Noticing if we can allow the breath to be continuous and smooth. We can do a slow 6-second exhalation. So as you're breathing out, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then breathing in. We can turn our conscious attention to calming the nervous system. And once we're a little bit calmer, we'll be in better shape to deal with whatever it is that's activating us. We won't be so caught up in whatever it is that's going on. We can observe it, take that step back. If the body could talk, it might say to us something like, don't get so caught up in thought. Notice that I'm here too. So many of us in our culture are completely centered around thought. And we don't really even notice that our body and our whole system is involved. There's this communication that's always going on. The body-mind is all one system. It might say, notice what happens when you take a nice, slow, relaxing out-breath and let your system settle. For another moment before we finish the practice, be aware of the whole of your experience, the space that your body is occupying, your body, the sense perceptions, your breath, thoughts in the mind, the witnessing of the experience that we're having. The space in which all of this is arising. Noticing that this is all one system. And when you're ready, open your eyes.